basically walk in and kind of make a fairly big dent in the co-working space. Someone told me yesterday they now have 70,000 square metres under their hats. That's a lot of office real estate, in case you're not familiar with what a square metre looks like. That's a lot of office space. And they've done that in a very short period of time. How do they do that? They are massively funded. So they don't even think about it. They just go, yeah, we want that building there, we'll sign the lease and get us to do it. Simple. Does that make sense? So this is why, sorry? We work, like where we are. So this is why I'm so passionate about this thing about getting funded. This is why it's so important to get yourself sorted out at a relatively early stage. So just by way of introduction, some of you might be sitting there scratching your head, so okay, that's all lovely, so why the hell is Catapult here? Like this company that Mike runs, why are we even here? What do we do? And just to kind of short circuit all the questions that you otherwise have, I thought I'd just give you 5 minutes about basically what do we do. And I'll sort of do this so I can step away from the screen, because I'm telling you, having that one in my face is going to drive me bananas before the day is over. So I need to walk up here, otherwise where sun is. Right. So basically what we do is we help you generate multiple revenue streams and making sure those revenue streams are sustainable. Now, sustainable is really, really important, because it's lovely to make some revenue and make some profits, but if you can't repeat that exercise at a high level of regularity, you're probably going to be in trouble. We help people get funded in a variety of different ways, and that might be getting funded around getting a grant, it might be getting funded around finding an investor, it might be a whole lot of different things. So we're going to have someone joining us later on today that basically helps people getting grant funding, and we accelerate companies through the process of successful growth and make sure you get a lot of those things right the first time. So one of the things that I've observed is a lot of people do a lot of mistakes, and that's fine, that's normal, because you haven't done it before. But a lot of those mistakes are avoidable, and therefore there's no point making them. So, when we talk about generating profitable revenue, a couple of hints here as to how that actually kind of works. So, the problem with revenue is that for most people, in order to get new customers, it requires marketing. For most people, marketing is an expensive exercise. You burn a lot of money, and you go, oh, well, we should continue affording this. We want to help you establish large-scale marketing methods that doesn't cost you anything, or if it does cost you something, it costs you very little. You know, we work a lot on introductions to corporates, to investors, to so on and so forth. We work with marketing experts that we can refer you into. They can help you build your landing pages and do these other kind of things. We also work with people in sales training, because some of your businesses are not that much marketing driven, but they're very sales driven. So sometimes it's about getting someone on board that can really help drive the sales in whichever way and shape that you need. And a couple of times in the last year, we've facilitated introductions also to freelance sales professionals, because you might be surprised to find out that there's actually a lot of freelance salespeople that just love selling so much that they would love to do it for you as well. Assuming you have a good product, assuming you can sell. Otherwise, no. So, generating funding pathways was the second point here. Again, I'm just going to build the slides here so I don't need to stare so much at the projector. So we have a very, very long-term view, as a business, we have a very long-term view of the art of growing business. It's not something for most that can be done overnight. For most it takes many years, and the trouble with that, it requires a lot of patience, and most people don't have a lot of patience. So therefore they give up, and if they just kept going for another year, they would have had success. So what that also implies is the investors you're going to find, if you're going to go and get funded, they've got to be patient too, otherwise they're going to give up and just kick you in the head. We have a very interesting set of address books that can help you get connected in lots of high places. We work on a regular basis with venture firms, with private equity firms, with investment firms, whatever they are, private investors and so on. And well, I guess what we find often is that if someone engages us to go and help find investors for them, well, it's not necessarily just looking people off the phone book, because we can all do that directly, but it's really hitting the network that we have and saying, hey, we've got this special thing here, is that an opportunity right for you, or if not, do you know the right person that we should present this to? So instead of going very broad, we go very narrow. So why are we here? We're here to find and grow the best emerging businesses in Melbourne. That's why we're here today, but in Australia very broadly. We do that through education. That's why we're here today. That's why we're going to be here with you for the next 10 weeks. We do a lot of mentoring. Some of you have already had a mentoring session, either with me or with Brendan. Brendan will be here later on today. We do a lot of introductions. We provide advice. Probably the biggest point of difference that we have is all of us that are inside this business are entrepreneurs one way or another. We're not bankers, we're not management consultants. That doesn't mean we couldn't have a background as a banker or a management consultant or an accountant, but we've all had the dramas of setting up businesses, raising capital, getting an exit, all of those kind of things, putting on a board, getting the board out again, etc. And so therefore you're going to get a lot more raw, uncensored, unfiltered, unpleasant advice from up here over the next 10 weeks. And the last point here surprises a lot of people. We have a belief that business actually is supposed to be easy. Well, let that sink in for a moment. Now, it's still hard work. But the things you're going to do inside a business are per se not hard. There's nothing hard about lifting the phone and calling somebody and saying, do you want to buy my stuff? There's nothing hard about writing an ad and putting it on a SIG and hiring a person, assuming you got the budget to pay for their salary. So all of the individual components of what you do in business, they're not hard. The reason that people find it hard is because they haven't had the experience before, like how the hell do I do this and what's the sequence and I need to do this before that. And the problem is that any business has 10 million moving parts. And unless you're really, really good at juggling lots of balls in the air, like not the circus juggler, no, the version that has 26 or maybe even 126 balls up in the air at the same time, if you don't find that fantastically stimulating, yes, it will wear you down running the business, because that's the reality of what you must do, is juggle a whole lot of things. But the actual components of what you're going to do, nothing of that is hard. And I want to dispel a myth at this very beginning of the day here, is like, there's a lot of people, business is hard, and the government says that 95% of the businesses fail, and so on and so forth. They're all just myths to keep you away from the real end goal, which is the goal at the end of the rainbow. We also have a belief around relationship comes before transaction. We do a lot of relationships. That's why we have great address books. That's why we can reach out to people. That's why we can call investors and so on. And in many cases, relationship building exercise may seem like right now it didn't really yield anything, but that does not mean it was wasted. It just means there wasn't a transaction at the end of it right now, but there might be next year or another time. It might be there's never a transaction with this person, but instead they can refer us to 10 other people for whom there are transactions. We don't know. But it's based on the ethos around we want to build relationships with people first. That's also why I'm here at the front of the room today. And help people out as much as we can. So, our vision is pretty simple. We want to basically be the number one out there to help people scale their businesses. Can't say much simpler than that. So, while we're in the department of myths, let's deal with another myth. Anyone heard of overnight success? Oh yeah. Anyone seen overnight success in the media? Yes. Okay, everyone I met that had the overnight success and been in the media said, you can't believe this company's come out of nowhere and look where they are now, and they just listed or whatever. And you get the real story. The real story is they started 6 years before that, in a garage, or in the mum's spare bedroom, or something similar like that, because they were just underground. Nobody knew about it. You know, in Melbourne we have, or you have, I'm not a Melbourne resident, but you have a world-beating company that pretty much nobody in Melbourne knows about. A company called Zoox. Basically, it's self-driving robots. Others would call it a car. They prefer not to call it a car. It's